Your Honor, where am I going to go?
Evelyn Darby Wright versus Zeef Darby. I see the name up there. Miss Darby Wright?
Yes.
Okay, there you are. Zeef Darby.
He should be.
Hold on. Is this a
Yes,
terminator?
sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Is he asleep?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Okay, where are you? Okay. This is a termination of tenancy?
I need to go in like 10 minutes.
All right, Miss Wright?
Yes.
All right. You are trying to evict Mr. Is it Darby hyphen Wright? Is that, or is it Zeef Darby?
Zeph Darby.
Okay. Are you guys related?
Yes, I'm his grandmother.
You don't have to scream. Huh? You don't have to scream.
And ma'am,
Hey, you can text me.
he's in your house?
Yes.
Mr. Darby, you're in your grandmother's house. Why aren't you leaving? She wants you out.
Your Honor, where am I going to go? Let's be real.
What?
Let's be real, Your Honor. No, where am I going to go? Let's be real, Your Honor. My phone lagging. It's because my camera on, Your Honor.
Where am I gonna go?
That's what I thought it said.
I said, where am I going to go, Your Honor? I'm not from Michigan.
All right. Miss Wright? Ma'am?
Your Honor.
Miss Wright? Hang on, Mr. Darby. Miss Wright?
He's talking.
Can you hear me?
She might be hard of hearing.
All right.
She is hard of hearing.
This is Miss Wright. Uh-huh.
Okay. Why do you want him out?
I need him to grow up. He's 20 years
Stop
old.
raising your voice.
Huh?
Talk low.
Oh,
You don't have to raise
he's
your voice.
20 years old. He doesn't keep a job very long. He plays video games all day and he needs to grow up. That's why he's being evicted, because he needs to become a grown man. He's 20 years old. And I was instructed by some older friends and cousins of mine that when young men stay home a long time, they don't want to leave. And so we're trying to get him out of the house to be on his own. I've had him for a number of years. And so it's time for him to leave now. He's 20 years old. I've taken care of him since he's 10 years old.
All right. Young man, what do you want to tell me?
Your Honor, where am I going to go?
I don't know where you're going to go, but you can't lay up in your grandma's house not doing anything. You should be helping her out. You're 20 years old. You're a 20-year-old grown man just laying up in your grandmother's house, won't keep a job. And then you're going to ask me, where am I going to go?
This thing.
You don't have a lease. She raised you. You're obviously, I can just tell that you're not doing what's right, because otherwise she wouldn't be putting you out.
Your Honor, this is lagging. It's like, oh, like, yo.
He can hear you.
You hear me?
I can hear you. What day are you getting out of your grandmother's house?
Why is it lagging like this? Hold on, I'm taking my phone. Hello? Your Honor, I have had plenty of jobs, Your Honor. I have not lost my last job on purpose. She says I'll lose this jobs quickly, but she tried to blame me like I actually was disrespectful to my bosses when I was not disrespectful to my bosses, Your Honor. It's not my fault that my bosses have different intentions when I walk into my job that involves me getting laid off, especially my last job, Your Honor. And the last job that I had, Your Honor, I didn't even want to do, but my sister said, basically, like, go to the job, and I told her I didn't want to do the job. And then I say, like, probably the same day or a day after, I was like, I'll give the job a chance out. I'll give it a chance. I gave the job a chance out, and I ended up getting laid off because of the boss, Your Honor. Even though
I know everybody's to blame. So when are you getting out of your grandmother's house?
I don't know, Your Honor. Like I said, I don't know where I'm going to go.
If you don't know, I'm gonna give you a date because she's entitled to a judgment.
You can give me a day, Your Honor. You just rubbed your head, Your Honor, and I don't know. Like this, I told you, Your Honor, this is lagging. I'm on a phone and it's lagging, Your Honor. You just rubbed your head. I'm trying to listen. I thought you were trying to listen to me.
I hear everything that you're saying.
But everyone is lagging to me, Your Honor. It looks like it's lagging. I don't know that y'all can hear me because it looks like it's lagging, literally.
We can hear you.
All right. All right. You want to play it this way? Here's what we'll do.
I'm not.
Ma'am, what time can you get down here?
Yes.
Do you have a ride that you can come down to the courthouse?
Yes, she has rides, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you. Miss Wright, do you have a ride that you can get down to the courthouse?
Do I have a ride to come to the courthouse?
To the courthouse.
To the courthouse.
Yes.
All right. Then since you can't hear me, I want everybody here at 12 noon.
12 noon?
Today?
12 noon. 14A1 Courthouse. 4133 Washtenaw. We'll see everybody then.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's the end of 9.
Darby Wright versus Darby. And ma'am, I'll try to speak up. If you don't hear me, then just raise your hand and I'll repeat it. Okay?
I heard that.
Okay. All right. I'm loud enough, man. All right. Your grandmother wants you out of her house. How old are you?
20 years old, Your Honor.
How long has she been asking you to leave?
Not really asked me to leave, asked me to do better, Your Honor.
What do you mean by do better? What does she mean?
Stop. Well, it's not really a video game, just I can do way better as in like get my diploma. I ain't finished school, Your Honor.
So you didn't finish school?
No, sir.
Why?
Your Honor, that's a good question.
I know it's a good question. I want an answer. Why didn't you finish school?
That's a great question.
Give me a great answer. Why didn't you finish school? Look, young man, let me just tell you right now.
I understand that.
Don't listen to me.
Yes, sir.
You can sit there and disrespect your grandma.
Yes, sir.
You're in my house now. Do not disrespect me. If I ask you a question, you better give me an answer. You understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's got to love you. I don't.
Yes, sir.
Now, why didn't you finish school?
I would say I'm a failure, Your Honor, but now I would say, Your Honor, I probably around that time our granddad had passed, and I didn't really enjoy going to school, but I still was doing it. And
What grade did you drop out?
probably like 11, Your Honor. 12, Your Honor.
You don't even know how far you got. Grandma, how long have you been raising him? Since 10? How long has he been with you?
Since he was off and on since he was 6 years old. He would go back to the other grandmother in Baltimore and then come with me. But he is in the 12th grade, and I don't know why he didn't finish. He could have finished up there at the Wade School. He could have finished. Yeah, it's like 12A, something like. I mean, it's not A and B like Baltimore, but he was in the second part of the 12th grade. He could have been graduating this past summer. Last year, could have graduated. And when I ask him questions, he would say that he didn't have to answer because he's grown.
Man, where are you from originally?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
That's where I was born.
Okay.
I lived in several states. Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. That's right. You can stop there. All right. Because how long were you in Baltimore?
A few years. I mean, I was living there a couple of years and I went to college. But I went to college in Huntsville, Alabama.
What college?
Oakwood College in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
University now.
Okay.
And I live in different states, so I may have a different speech for every state. I don't know.
No, I'll tell you something. You said Baltimore and you said it right. I lived in Baltimore. I'm a university. That's where I got my law degree. Love that city. So, okay. Young man, you raised your hand. What do you want to say?
Your Honor, he said I was in 12th grade, but I don't think I was in 12th grade, Your Honor.
Okay. Maybe you don't understand the point.
I respect you, Your Honor.
What?
I respect you, Your Honor, 100%. But some things that she says, Your Honor, like she's a smart woman, yes. But it's just not, like the words are just not right, Your Honor. Like if my sister was here, basically like my sister got a great job, etc. We was literally just talking before we came here. We literally came together, Your Honor. This is not as bad as it seemed, Your Honor.
What do you mean it's not as bad as it seems?
Honestly, this is my first time being in a courtroom, Your Honor. So I feel like I could put it as like jet lag when like you ask me some questions, Your Honor, because I know that you always gotta respect the judge, Your Honor. And that's a fact. And I know that this is your courtroom, 100%, Your Honor. I would not lie to you. But she just now said, when she said she would ask me questions, Your Honor, and say I don't gotta ask them because I'm grown, that's so false, Your Honor.
When's the last time you had a job?
Maybe around last year, Your Honor.
Last year? Yeah. What time? When?
I honestly don't know when, Your Honor. I still some days I don't even look at the time. Oh my God.
Yes, ma'am.
May I speak about his jobs that he's had?
Yes, ma'am.
Please. His sister got him some jobs at what's the one where you cook the food, not to cook, but you eat food. Subway. He worked at Subway. He worked there a pretty long time, but the boss was keep cutting his days, he said. Then he worked at a place. I think it was just temporary. And he was only there about 2 weeks. And so then he didn't have that anymore. He had a job working out in the cutting grass and all that. And then one day he told me he was set up and didn't go back to work. So I don't know what that meant. He was set up. And he had a job working at the car company place where he enjoyed working as a mechanic. But the guy wanted him to wear a uniform that had been hanging in the bathroom. And he didn't want to wear the uniform because he couldn't take it home and wash it. So he didn't go back to that job. Then the job he had at the filling station, I don't know the details about that. He said he said he had the room, the place where they store stuff nice and stacked up nicely. And she came in there complaining and didn't like how he stacked it up nicely. And so he didn't go back to that job either. So he keeps jobs a few while when he gets about 2 paychecks, and then he didn't go back to the job. And so I started thinking about that. I said, this young man, I know he was young, and you get a lot of jobs when you're young. Maybe 4 or 5 or 6. I don't know how many jobs you get before you become mature. But I started thinking about that. And he watched play his games on those video games all day and half the night. And that was his job, doing that, playing games. So I think he enjoyed. I know that a lot of people enjoy playing those games, but they probably have a job and go to work and come and play games after work. But he didn't. He couldn't keep in his jobs, and he was playing those games all day. And then one last thing, this is kind of just not too nice, but I had him cutting the grass, and I liked it trimmed a certain way. He did it for a while, and he knew how to do it. But then one day, he up and tells me, I think you better get somebody else to cut the grass. Get somebody else, and I'm paying him money. I mean, not because I was paying him to be nice for cutting his own grass and my grass. And he says, because he didn't like the way I kept telling him to do cut around that and cut around the other. I think you better get yourself somebody else. Not in a nasty way, but he didn't cut anymore. So I got somebody else to cut the grass. So, and then I thought about it. But this young man here, sleeping, eating, doing everything he can do. And I got to get somebody else to cut the grass. So anyway, when he was 20, I have some older cousins, a gal who has 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. He's 80-some years old now. He says, you don't let no young man stay at home at your house because they get too comfortable and it won't leave. It's a difference between the girls. You can't just put them out because they're vulnerable, and things can happen to them. But a young man, 20 years old, not thinking about getting out, scared, I guess he's scared to get out in life. I don't know. But 20 years old, most guys are out when they're 16 or 17 on their own. But he likes to stay home. I don't know why. He didn't know. Well, he don't like why he likes to stay home. And he's not mean or anything, but we know that his age, his race, and he needs to be out of that house. And a lot of the men hanging around with the ladies doing nothing, and the ladies taking care of the man, he needs to be out of the house and taking care of himself. We're trying to get him to go to Job Corps. He says, what do you think about Job Corps? He doesn't want to go to Job Corps, but that's a place for the start, I believe. You can go to Job Corps and they will give you a job when you get finished, and you can get skills. Once you get auto mechanic, they give you skills and everything. He said, I ain't going to Job Corps. So I don't know what else he can do except go to Job Corps and learn some skills and learn how to take care of himself. And then when you leave there, they will find you a place to stay and give you a job. And I think he can go until he's 21. Mm-hmm. When he's 21, I don't think you can go anymore. After 21, they won't take you. But he's 20, he can go.
So in all of that, young man, tell me something she said that was wrong.
Your Honor, when I mentioned my granddad passed away about the jobs, I was working, literally working. Even if I put a game on, I'm still making money, etc. But about the job situation where actually I'm getting a legal job and making a set pay, like pay that's confirmed. Say, we live in Michigan, Your Honor. All the warehouse jobs and all the good jobs, 20 miles out, 15 to 20 miles out. All my jobs were a period for warehouse jobs that was 20 miles out, Your Honor. What it takes me to work? Yes. Oh, my granddad was alive. He passed now. He said, or I don't know, it was either one of them, that my job could not be more than 10 miles out. So the last job that I had, so I couldn't get no more warehouse jobs, Your Honor, because they would not take me there. Not that they would not take me there. They said my job should be 10 miles out. So I respected it. I would look for jobs that was 10 miles in. That's how I got that oil job, etc. Then after the oil job was the real job, Your Honor, I know my story sounds biased.
No, I'm just saying. You are a grown man in your grandmother's house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't have a job, don't have an education. She has to come to the court. She's asked you to leave, and she has to come to court to ask you to get you out of her house.
I don't really think she asked me to leave, Your Honor.
Well, she has now.
I understand that.
So when are you getting out of your grandmother's house? Because you're not doing her any good. She has not asked anything of you that you can't do. If you put your mind to it, you can go back and get your education. If you put your mind to it, you can get a job. And if you got a job that's more than 10 miles out, that's just an excuse. Because if you got to get there and she can't drive you, you start hoofing it. You get to your job. She has not asked. Everything that she said is not anything you can't do. You just don't want to do it. So if you don't want to do it, she is just not asking that much of you.
You're right, Your Honor.
Oh, I know I'm right. Ma'am, let me ask you, if he did these things, would you let him stay?
I want him to leave because he needs to grow up.
Got it.
I don't want him to stay because they always compare their father, because they said I ruined their father. And if he stays in my house, he's going to say I'm ruining him. So they blame me for the men that say that my house is my son and him. And I'm not really, I don't mind being blamed, but I know that not to tell him the truth. But he needs to be out on his own.
Okay.
Learning some skills, learning something. And I wrote in my letter that I wrote to the court, the men in that family seem to stay home a lot. One of them has skills. He has an uncle that has automatic skills, taught him a lot about auto mechanics. Those men are always at home, always home doing nothing after they work for a while. So we want him to be on his own, get a job, and be self-secure, not depending on somebody else. I'm 80 years old. He can't depend on me too long. His sister is 22. She's not going to take care of him. His mother is deceased a long time ago. His daddy, I don't know where my son is in Baltimore. So we want him to be self-sufficient, a young man. We're not mad at him. But I can see that he likes those video games day in and day out, talking to the people, screaming and yelling at the people who's playing games with. You think he's talking to somebody right there next to him. So that's what he likes to do. And that's terrible to do that all day. I mean, not all day, but half today and half tonight. He needs some skills to take care of himself and the family if he ever has one.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got to say?
I just want to ask her, who is we?
Excuse me?
Who is we?
I can't understand, but I can't hear
Who
you.
is we?
We,
Yeah.
Diamond and me, his sister. His sister has had several jobs, and she got him a job, and she works now she has a full-time job as a police officer. And well, the women in that family seem to keep jobs, get jobs. His uncle, who has two daughters, they both went to, they did, I think, Army, and one did the other one. That's sufficient. The men in that family, they don't take care of themselves very long. His uncle now, who's at home with his mother because she's sick, but I heard him say at least 10 years ago, I'll never leave my mother. And he didn't. He's taking care of her now, but you know, she's kind of sick. But they don't go out, you know, they stay home too long.
What do you want to say?
Your Honor, she said my sister. I literally was just now talking to my sister about this situation because she was in the crib when I was in court. Well, in the Zoom. And also, all the people she's comparing to, Your Honor, are drug addicts. Drug addicts. I am not no drug addict, Your Honor.
Okay.
Plus,
So
my
look,
sister was literally just talking to me about possibly going to military, dog courts, etc. And I said I'm willing to do that. But they are on reach out because I don't have my diploma, Your Honor.
I know, because you didn't stay in school. So when are you leaving?
That's the thing, Your Honor.
No. Maybe I'm phrasing
Your
this
Honor,
like this is an option.
I understand you 1,000%, Your Honor. I respect you.
I don't care whether you respect me. I asked you a question. When are you leaving?
I don't know how to answer that, Your Honor. Like,
Okay, then I'm going to give you 10 days. Maybe you don't understand this. So let me make it real clear. If I give your grandmother a judgment, which I'm going to give her, it's going to say 10 days. You're not out in 10 days. She's going to file another piece of paper with the court, call it an order of eviction or a writ. I'm going to sign it. At that point, you're on borrowed time. And on that point, Phil, if you don't leave, there will be sheriffs showing up to take you out. Yeah. What do you want to ask?
like she just now said, my sister has a great job, Your Honor. My sister, I don't even have to speak about my sister, but the conversation I literally just had with my sister was that my nana, she was saying my nana don't care if I do all them things, Your Honor. And I stopped doing some of the things that she said stop doing. As long as I I do better, get my diploma, etc., go to job courts, military, etc., Nana wouldn't care. But since they are not here, and my sister has a big influence over what my Nana thinks because she's older, and like she said, she has a good job, etc., this conversation, Your Honor, went purely down the drain.
Okay. So when are you leaving?
So I got 10 days, Your Honor. As you say goes.
Oh, I know.
One thing they like to make a lot of money, but they didn't have any skills to make the money. He also wants to tell the people what to do. He tells the bosses, he doesn't listen to them. He thinks he should tell them what to do. And I try to tell him, no, you don't tell bosses what to do. I ain't doing that or whatever. I don't know how he says it, but you can't tell a boss what to do when he's paying you money. I mean, that's your job. You got to do what the boss says to do. But I mean, I don't hate my grandson.
I know.
But I know I want him out of that house to do something for himself, because I can see him, who is he going to lean on? His other grandmother is very, very ill. I'm not ill yet, but who knows when. Sister's not gonna take, I don't know who's gonna lean on.
What do you want to say?
The stuff she's saying about my job, Your Honor, she does not know the truth about my job, Your Honor. She's going off based off what she thinks, Your Honor. A lot of stuff she's saying, it honestly don't even matter, Your Honor. Like, I lost this conversation when I walked in the door. That's a fact. Because the conversation I had with my sister that I know influences what my nana thinks is entirely different than how this conversation just now went on. Entirely different. I know I lost.
And one last thing.
Yes, ma'am.
One last thing. When we told him that we had to put him out, well, not we, but me, then he said he's going to kill himself. So I don't know why he wants to kill himself. That's a coward's way out of doing something, killing yourself. What for? You've been treated with kindness. Nobody's been beating you up in the head, killing you. We only ask you to get a job and, to go to Job Corps to get yourself together, help yourself. And he says he could put out of the house, he's gonna kill himself. So I hope he don't find him in his room dead.
Yeah.
What she said about only wants me to get a job course, etc. If I get put out, how am I going to be able to do any of that, Your Honor? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
That's going to be your own business.
Right.
I mean, the problem is you think you've grown. I don't think you've grown at all. Because if you're grown, you'd have an education, you'd have a job, you'd be doing for yourself. This wouldn't be an issue because if you had to get out on your own, you could do it. Right now, the problem for you is you're going to get put out. You have nowhere to go. You haven't set yourself up for life to try to deal with it and have any skills or anything to be able to survive necessarily on your own. That's your problem. But that's not her problem. That's yours. She doesn't have to keep you there. Maybe. And I'm just listening to you today, even as you address your grandma. I addressed my grandmother the way that you did, I would be picking myself up off the floor. No, I'm done with you right now. Because see, you play this respect thing in terms of what you say, but you don't really respect her. Because if you would have, I don't even know how to say this to you, that you don't, there is no way any man I know who's living with his grandmother or his grandmother is nearby, if she needs a lawn cut, wants it cut a certain way, wouldn't just do it. She would never have to hire anybody else. Ever. You don't do that because you like it. You do that out of respect for her. She's asked you to go to school. get your diploma. Talk about liking school, doing this. It doesn't matter if you like it. You just go to school out of respect, get your diploma for yourself, but out of respect for her. What do you want to say?
I got like two things, but at the same time I was going to school, Your Honor, I was working too. When I work a lot of hours. But also when I got paid, I would give her some money, Your Honor. And when the thing about the lawn, I would cut the lawn, Your Honor. She knows I tell her over 1,000 times if she asks me to do something, I would do it. She claims that she can't ask me to do things, but every time, for example, she got a new computer, she won't ask me to help her set the computer up, and she won't give me 2 candy bars to help. Like she had 2 candy bars sitting where I was sat at the table, just for helping her set up the computer, Your Honor. Knowing that I literally control the Wi-Fi in the house. I help set up everything, put up a light bulb, do anything manually, I do, Your Honor. I paint the steps, etc. Everything. Painting this picture like I would not do the manly things in the house.
I don't even know what that means. Because you can do everything.
You're right, Your Honor. But when it comes to even the cutting grass, that's what I don't know. But she said, go cut the grass. I would cut the grass in a heartbeat, Your Honor. That's a fact. That's a perfect. He painted a picture of me like, I'm the type of person.
Young man, why are we here then?
We're here because the whole thing about me getting put out, Your Honor, was probably in 2020 or like December. When I was smoking marijuana, Your Honor.
In her house?
No, I never smoked in her house, Your Honor. She could just smell it.
Was she on her property? Were you on her property?
I mean, yes.
What? Okay, then that's a problem. If she doesn't like it,
yes,
you don't get to do it. That's just the way it works. That's just the way it works. Until you pay the mortgage, you can't say anything. I know. So that's what upsets her. Guess what? You don't get to do it. I don't understand how it all came about that you think you get to control anything in her house.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that right? Yeah.
I don't think that, Your Honor.
Oh, I think you do.
It's the image that you see that she explains, Your Honor.
No, it's also what you said. So don't try to play victim that somehow or another I had my mind made up. I don't have my mind made up. I do this every day. I listen to everybody and what they're saying. So don't try to play your little victim game with me. That all of a sudden she's saying this and everybody's just buying into whatever. I'm listening to what she's saying.
I'm not a victim. Played a victim.
Yes, you are. You're trying to say she's saying all this bad stuff about me. She's saying this. She doesn't know the truth about this. She doesn't know the truth about this. Well, then you need to pick yourself up, put yourself someplace where you can do it. She's just mad at me because I was smoking marijuana in her house or on her property. Yes, ma'am.
When I said about him, that's the only thing about cutting the grass. He said about to find somebody else, but he usually does things I ask him to do around the house without mouth. He'll do things, but that's not the point. My point here is not that he doesn't do things around the house. My point is he needs to grow up on his own.
Oh, I know.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Not that he doesn't do anything around the house when he got tired of cutting the grass, but My point is, he needs to be out of there on his own because he's gonna stay there forever. I saw on TV years ago where this man, 40-some years old, still at home, parents had to put him out. He didn't want to leave, 40 years old. He's 16. And he doesn't, I mean, he's skinny, but he eats a lot. Using more paper towels than the paper towel store. Everything he does, he washes his hands. His hands are cleaner than his feet, cleaner than his mouth. I think he washes a whole roll of paper towels. And so when he gets money, sometimes I tell him to buy some things. He gets a few bucks sometimes playing these games. So I put down he has to buy paper towels, tissue paper, because he uses more paper towels, and he use a lot of water. So I had to start telling him he's gonna have to pay the water bill. I don't ask him to pay anything because he had a job and didn't make that much money. And so I didn't feel I needed to. But I mean, the point is I want him to go and be on his own. That's my real thing here. He needs to be out of there because I can't get him out. He doesn't go out of the house except to do something for me. He stays in that house 24/7, doing nothing but playing those games half the time. But he'll do it, take out the garbage. He'll wash the dishes after a while, he'll clean up his room. But that's not the point. I want him out of there to be on his own because that's what I'm looking at. So I'm tired of folks blaming me for me and my family doing nothing. I'm the blame.
Well, you're gonna get your wish. I'm gonna grant judgment to the plaintiff, finding that there's no tribal issue. An order of eviction or writ will issue April 24th, 2023. You got 10 days, young man. Figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Ma'am, you'll have to start out at the counter and fill out a judgment form.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.